Getting tilted. Becoming so irritated or angry at a game that it affects your ability to play well. This is the meaning most people think of when they hear this phrase, but in Dead Space 1, it means something completely different. Most people remember Dead Space 1 as a classic space horror game filled with frightening creatures, dimly lit hallways, and lots of dismembering action with the plasma cutter. But what you might not realize is that it's also a 3D platformer. Pulse boosting is easily Dead Space 1's most broken glitch, and lets you do a lot of crazy stuff like this. While this is pretty amazing, there's another less talked about glitch that you can do some pretty cool things with. Back to getting tilted. What is a tilt in Dead Space 1? This is a glitch where we can temporarily rotate Isaac and get him stuck like this. As you can see, it looks like the entire ship around Isaac is drifting to one side. So, what is this and how does it work? First off, let's start in a 0G area. In 0G, Isaac can run along walls, slopes, and ceilings, and the game tilts him to snap to these surfaces. So a tilt is essentially the same thing, just not in 0G, which the game doesn't normally allow. So how do we do it? First, we start in a 0G area, and then exit it while meleeing. You'll see that we stick to this ramp. While punching in this game, we can maintain 0G properties until we stop the melee, which means we're tilting Isaac and getting stuck on the ramp as if we were still in 0G. Then, once we stop punching, the tilt sticks and we keep it, even though we're not in 0G anymore. And now that we have normal gravity, there's some other weird effects. Most notably, we can run along the tilt like this and actually gain height, which is super cool in a game without a jump button. Earlier, I mentioned pulse boosting was really broken, so what happens if we combine tilting with boosting? This is where a battery skip in Chapter 7 comes into play. First, we get a tilt from this 0G. Then, we make our way back to this elevator, take this box full of enemies that we'll need for later, and get in this corner. Now, with a pulse boost against the tilt, we can actually launch ourselves up the elevator shaft and land at the top, completely skipping the intended method of dragging a battery to power the lift. Now, we can grab that box full of enemies and stasis them to hold the door open. Finally, we bump into the edge of a 0G area through the wall, which disables the tilt, and then we can boost out of the room, skipping another fight. While these two tricks are the only instances of tilting in the 90% speedrun currently, it's a very cool trick and you can get tilts all over the place. It's really wacky. Sometimes you'll just clip through the floor when you get one. Sometimes they're so steep that you'll fall infinitely sideways and die. It's pretty crazy. That's about it for this video. Hopefully you found this glitch interesting. This game has all kinds of crazy things in it that you can do casually or in speedruns. Normally I only upload VODs of runs or challenge runs or things I do with these games, so this is some sort of new content that I'm trying to make. It was super fun so far, so if you enjoyed it, put a comment down below and let me know. If so, I might continue to make more things like this. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching and hope you enjoyed.